Hi, FSudol here, and we'll go over some of the zombies from City of Rott, Otherworld, and some of the characters here. I'll try to go through as many as I can, and just give you an idea of their character and what I was thinking when I created them. But City of Rott, Otherworld, is currently under distribution through Wild Eye Releasing. They release a lot of horror movies and lower budget horror movies and sci-fi movies and stuff like that. The early estimate from Wild Eye Releasing for City of Rott Otherworld was early 2021, so I'm really hoping that stays on track. But let's get to it and see what we got here. So here's of course a collage of all the different characters all in one scene. I always like to see them all in one big view. I thought that was pretty neat. So let's move on, and we'll start with this creature from Tales of the Dim. He just makes a really brief cameo within City of Rott Otherworld. He's like a monster zombie, and he was inspired by Tales from the Dark Side, an episode by Tom Savini called In the Closet, where a little demon monster lived in the closet. This doesn't look like it, but it's similar in concept. But I always remember that episode from when I was a kid, and that was a big inspiration. So then, this is a death pod from the movie Shock Invasion from 2011. And he makes an appearance in City of Rott Otherworld. Then we have the doctor. He lost his legs within this City of Rott, and now he has to use a skateboard to get around, but he's got a lot of knowledge about how to help someone if they get sick or under some kind of trouble within the story. So he's a key character in the City of Rott Otherworld. Then we'll move on to Fred. He's the main hero, the main co-star. He's really the main hero of City of Rott, and he is an old guy who used to be 26 years old, but then he got bit by the brain worm, and they burrowed into his brain, and then I won't say what happens after that, but it turns into an old man, and he awakens in the other world still as an old man. So he's got his talking walker, and he's got to try to reach his goals. He actually has real goals in this film compared to City of Rott 1, where he was just wandering around looking for shoes with no real clear direction. This movie, he's got a clear motivation and clear direction. That was what I really wanted to get across in this film. So here we have a character from Tales of the Dim, and she is one of the victim characters. Then we have a pile of bloody guts of zombies. It's actually a big giant blob creature in the video game I created, City of Rott, Streets of Rott, available on Steam, and that monster is a boss in the video game. Then we have Jen. She was from Dead Fury from 2008, which is a spoof of Evil Dead and The Hills Have Eyes and a couple other movies. She only has a small role in this one, but she does play an important part for what I was going for with her character. And this is Hack. He was from City of Rott 1, and he makes an appearance in this film in the beginning. Then we have Max, Bloodheart, and Max awakens in City of Rott Otherworld, and he doesn't have a weapon, so he finds this circular saw, and he was from Dead Fury, but in that film that was a different role for him. This is a separate movie, so he's a separate character, but he's the main hero of the story, and he has to fight his way towards his goal and adjust his goal along the way. So here's a wanderer from Shock Invasion that I added in here. He's a victim character. And this is Renzer. He's a character who has a good base of operations in the City of Rott Otherworld, and he understands it really well. So he's a really key character in the whole movie. I don't want to reveal too much about him. Then we have this fellow. He is a victim character in the beginning. Then we have Rufus, and this character, he's a victim character. I won't say how he dies, but then this character is this character is Sarah, the nurse. And Sarah was in City of Rott 1, and she had a white outfit, nurse outfit, versus the black dark gray outfit, which is symbolic of death, because she's now in the other world. But the other world is just as real as the real world, because if you get bit in the other world, you become a zombie forever, unless you get dispatched by Fred, Sarah, or Max, or any of the other characters. But she has special powers, radioactive powers that affect her, and she gets sick in the film, so she has to figure out how to survive. But she's a major character in this film, a major motivation for the story. So here's the stalker, the demon stalker. He runs the whole show for the other world. Everything happens through this evil entity. So the whole dilemma is, if the stalker dies, maybe the other world dies too. So it's a big question for Fred, Max, and Sarah to determine how to dispatch of this evil entity that inspires the other world. Then we have this guy. He's a victim character. He was from Dead Fury. Then we have the Rott worm. They're really hard to kill. They're like ticks. You could step on them and they don't crush. They're parasites. They burrow into your skin and make their way to your brain, where they take over and they release a toxin that releases poison and rots your body and stops your heart, and then of course you would become a zombie under their control. And their goal is to find food, so that's what they do. Here's a skin worm. Unfortunately, Max ends up with skin worms from the prior film, City of Rott 2. That's the only link to that prior film. But that link is so brief, it's not a big deal to the story. But it does affect Max, and he has to deal with it in the new film in a subtle way. It's not detrimental. So then here's the first zombie. This is the cook zombie. He cooks food when he was alive, and now he doesn't. Then we have a zombie here wearing a shirt, pants, and shoes, and he's got a bald head there. Then we have another zombie, and then he's got a lot of blood on his shirt. And this zombie was another zombie from City of Rott 1. What I did was extended the body so they weren't so cartoon-like, but more proportioned to a real human. That was the goal of City of Rott Otherworld. And here's a classic zombie with more realistic proportions. That was the goal. And these zombies use the similar body, but I can only create so many characters. And then if you wanted a different color, you'd have to create a whole nother character, unlike the video game where you could just randomly create colors. The program I use is Anime Studio Pro, so that's more limited. You can't just create random colors and assign them. Whatever color the bitmap image is, that's the color that's going to be in the film, unless I can find a new feature. But here's a Templar zombie from the Blind Dead horror films. They were zombies. This was the inspiration for it. Then we have a hag zombie, old lady zombie. See, this one I had to create a duplicate and then change the color to get that different color. But then we have, and this was inspired by Hell of the Living Dead, a movie where there was an old lady zombie in that movie. Day of the Dead from George A. Romero is my biggest inspiration for the zombies, so that's where I got most of my inspiration. Then here's another zombie and a slight variation of that zombie, and another zombie. He's wearing like a t-shirt. Here's a corpse zombie with hair, and this is a corpse zombie without hair. And here's a monster zombie. Here's a corpse zombie. And then we have another corpse zombie, another one. Here's a classic zombie from City of Rott 1. I love that face. That's one of my favorite zombie faces. Here's a mummy zombie. This was inspired by the Mummy. Then here's a really classic face. This was City of Rott 1. He's inspired by the movie Zombie. Then we have this zombie, a weird looking zombie, and another zombie. This zombie was inspired by Blade 2, the character Nomak, played by Luke Goss. That was a really cool action vampire movie starring Wesley Snipes, and Luke Goss is the main villain. He was like a vampire, but this is a zombie here. The face was inspired by it. And then we have another zombie, and then here's a zombie slash demon from Dead Fury, but I just made him a zombie in this film. I like the look of it so much, I said I gotta put him in City of Rott Otherworld. Here's the mall cop zombie. He plays a very small zombie role in this film. Then we have the Upside Down Man. He's like a demon corpse zombie. He was clearly inspired by Nosferatu from Salem's Lot, the old classic original Stephen King's. But then at the same time, I added these claws and made him go float upside down. And I always visualized being in the woods and seeing this tall figure floating through the woods. And the episode of Tales of the Dim, episode 3, features this horrific character. And I added him to this film because it's the Otherworld, and the Otherworld, similar to Silent Hill, is allowed to have monsters and zombies and stuff like that. Stuff you wouldn't expect in the natural real world. So then we have the waitress zombie, and then we have another waitress zombie. Then we have a classic zombie with really rotten bones and skin. Then we have that one and that one and that one. This one has like a rough shirt, and there's some variations of them you could see. Then we have an old lady zombie. This is a bloat face zombie, his face bloated. And then we have another zombie. Another zombie. This zombie was originally the farmer zombie, but I took his head and added it to this body. He was the farmer zombie in City of Rott 1. Then here's another zombie. This zombie, I love that face right there, the eyes. It's such a evil looking zombie. And then classic zombie. And for the design, they reused the body a lot because I was able to just... This zombie, that's a newer zombie. He's got a old skull, and this is a newer zombie. This is inspired by Bub from, of course, Day of the Dead by George A. Romero, 1985. Still my favorite zombie movie of all time because of the zombies. The characters are entertaining to watch. Then we have this zombie. This is actually a variation of the stalker zombie. If you look at the faces, you'll see a similarity. Then we have this guy with a spiked hair. His hair was so filled with gel that it stayed spiked even after he died and turned into a zombie. Then we have this cool looking face. That was a neat face. This hag face. This bloat face again on a different body. And then this is the bully zombie from City Rott 1 that gave Fred's character a hard time towards the end of the film. This zombie, this was pretty cool looking face. Then we have a military zombie. Then we have the woman zombie. She was in the billboards from the first film. Then we have a cheerleader zombie. Then we have, here's the farmer zombie. You can see his face. He was in City Rott 1. Then we have a demon zombie. He floats. He was from Tales of the Dim. Then we have a trophy zombie mounted on the wall from Dead Fury. Use his head for this body. Then we have a goth zombie. And then this old lady zombie. This was one of the first zombies I created for City of Rott back in 2005 when I started the whole process. One of my favorite zombies. This one too. Here's a construction zombie. Then we have a cool zombie with his hat facing backwards. Then we have a old haggard zombie. Then we have a nurse zombie. Her hair is gray in the film, not pink. But in the video game, Streets of Rott is pink. But then we have Demon Pop Zombie from Dead Fury. This zombie was the bridge zombie from City of Rott 1. Skater zombie. This is the skateboard zombie. I always like this look of the character with the hat on. Here's striped shirt zombie. Here's suit zombie. This zombie is a businessman. Was a businessman. Then we have the special zombie. I won't reveal much about that one, but he plays a key role in the film. And that's it. Those are all the zombies for now. Thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, feel free to comment, subscribe, give a thumbs up if you like, and thanks for watching.